Can we close the discussion on administrative expenses?
Legal. I mean, that's the
Oh,
elephant,
legal.
the elephant in the room.
That's
Okay.
huge.
Forgive me, I'm sorry. Okay, legal was budgeted at $2,400. Projected is $24,000, which is 10 times. I and Leslie started working on a stratification of where that money went. I'm not, because of lawyer-to-lawyer privilege, and we have an attorney in the room tonight living at 26 Summer Trees, I'm not going to discuss the legal fees pertaining to that homeowner as part of this subject. Okay? That's an ongoing legal expense.
That resident is not a homeowner.
Yes.
Okay, well, that resident, all right? The rest of the legal, 107 was roughly 10,000. Of the 24,000, 107 is roughly 10.
We have, sorry, I have a mess. I can watch stuff right here.
Huh?
The problem is, unless they've itemized, well, I have itemization for what we pay for each individual.
So we should discuss it until
But I can make them. But I can tell you,
Everybody else does. Not if they're not open.
That's my job.
Well, the contract, to help you out.
All right, $24,000 is a projected amount. The question on the table is how did we arrive at $6,000 next year? How do we know, any idea, so on and so forth? Fair question. Of the 24,000, 107 is roughly 10, leaving another 10 for several other projects in the neighborhood. 152 is approaching the end cycle of legal. They have a January hearing. The judge is going to make a ruling on whether or not the resident is going to vacate the home, but the bank is already foreclosed. So I'm guessing the bank is going to take legal action to move him along. I'm not discussing the other legal matter. I have no idea what that's going to end up costing. Our best determination for budgeting next year was $6,000.
we hope it doesn't go more than that. It'd be great if it did go more than that.
How could you be?
How would you, how would you, just tell me, how would you come to a determination?
I was looking at a 4-page letter that 26 handed out today. The 107 thing is not near the end by any stretch of imagination. The lien is still on the house. It was supposed to be off by November 10th. It hasn't even been filed yet. So he's obviously violating the agreement in many ways.
That's why the lien is still on the house.
And the board is, well, that's fine, but it's not settled. So I would seriously question whether $10,000 in 2016 is an accurate number for Longstone.
Yeah.
And, you know, so 6,000 just seems woefully low considering how none of these issues are
I guess
settled.
we were feeling optimistic that day.
Okay, well, if you want to
But
budget
no,
that,
you're right.
if you want to budget that way, then you
No,
budget that way.
No, you're right. But perhaps
And next
we
year I'll
should-
remind you about how optimistic you were.
Yeah.
I'm not optimistic at all. And I think our lawyers are taking us for a ride, you know?
I do have itemization of all of their fees.
Oh, no, I have no doubt that they're working what they're billing, but, you know, everybody seems to be so enamored with lawyers. And lawyers strive, they live on controversy, they get paid either way.
I know, but,
Yeah.
but there are some things that we are at their mercy for. Do you not agree?
No, I do not agree that we're at a lawyer's mercy. The lawyers work for us. And I'm wondering why we're spending so much money to try to collect a $5,000 lien. So if the ownership of 26 Summer Trees Road is in dispute, there's no mortgage on the house, so there's no safe harbor issue. Why don't we just keep putting liens on it? If and when,
There's no liens since the gentleman just moved in. Is that correct, Mr. Leon?
the home is,
There's no liens since...
Attorney's fees automatically
No,
become a
no,
lien.
sir, the question is, have there been liens
Well, nothing filed.
filed? There's been no assessments since he moved in.
my point is this,
I'm sorry.
there's no safe harbor issue here.
That is correct.
There's no bank involved. The legal owner of the house, as I understand it, is the estate. And if he manages to pull off this thing, and after 7 years, he manages to go on the deed, the deed cannot transfer him until those liens are paid off. So the liens are still there. And there's nobody else in line.
Without getting into something here that's going to cause more legal fees, there, in effect, there's a two-track legal process going on at 26. One track is the HOA, the resident that died, and the ad litem research for an heir. That's one path, one prong. The second is a different prong. To your point, no, I can't remember.
Whoever owns the house has to pay the assessments. If it's the estate, then the estate's gonna have to pay it before it can get transferred to anybody else, whether it's him or the heir, if there is an heir. So we're not, you know, it's not like we're in a rush to get in front of the bank if the house is paid off. So, why are we inserting ourselves in that? I understand why it started, but I'm thinking now that it's obviously getting complicated and tangled, when you talk to your lawyers again, and you will, the lawyers, they're happy to go to court all these times and pay all these bills. And he's happy to bill. And he's, as an attorney representing the LLC that's occupying the house, he's gonna get paid. Why play that game? Why not just, even if no assessments were paid for the 7 years it takes, it's 972 times 6, or 7. It's gonna be $7,000 or $8,000. We're gonna spend a lot more than that to try to collect $7,000 or $8,000. We don't have to get involved with who the owner of the house is. We know who the owner of the house is. The estate owns the house. And those liens will follow that until it gets transferred. And as long as we have an interest in the court, when we tell the court, you can't allow anybody else to file a deed until the assessments are paid, then, we're protected.
So, clearly understood. So, is it your opinion we should budget more than 6,000?
Yeah, on the 107 Cypress Pond Road alone.
So what number would we put here?
We're gonna add 10 grand.
I mean, you can put whatever number you want, but it's gonna be higher. So if you could add 10 grand to it, it's still gonna be higher, because we have lawyers that are sharks.
Okay,
And they're gonna take every opportunity they are to make everything an issue.
so what we should do, unless we can cut something else, we should raise the $81 a month to about 86.
If you wanna be honest with everybody, yes. If you wanna be honest with everybody, yes. If you don't wanna be honest with everybody, and we're gonna keep drawing down from the land sale money, which is no longer called this land sale money, now it's called operating savings.
Yeah.
It's not called land sale anymore. When that was sold to the community, Bob Ryan was the chairman of the committee, I have the memo. He told the community, everybody, that was for improvements and emergencies. We're using it to balance the budget. And it's ironic that, obviously there's not much support for raising the assessment to pay these things. But sooner or later, that's what's gonna happen.
It is, because
We were told,
we're gonna go broke.
the community was told that if we put these, that if it goes to foreclosure on 107, that 107 was gonna pay the legal fees. And that's not what the agreement says. The agreement says the HOA pays its own legal fees and 107 pays its own legal fees. But many of these people, I wasn't there, but many of these people were there. You had 100 people in the room, yeah. But, you know, and they were told that he's gonna pay the fees, and he's not gonna pay the fees.
Based upon the document that he released to the community.
The document that John Lyons signed with the power of attorney on behalf of the association. If that goes through, then he'll be paying his fees, and the association's gonna pay for our lawyer's fees. And that's not how that whole thing was sold to the community.
Well, next,
I mean, our hands are a little bit tied, don't you think? I mean, it's a little bit unfair to add to our assessments for all the rest of the community to pay for that one individual's legal fees. That's unfair, number one. Number two, if we don't do that, where else are we gonna get the money? If we don't take it from the land sale, I'm sorry. The land sale, it's just dumb to call it the land sale money. It's a savings account. It's there for emergencies. That's why we're just calling it an account. So, what can we do? We charge the people and they complain, or we pay it out of our reserve. When the money's gone, the money's gone. I don't know. That's not good. As a treasurer, I don't like to see it. I don't like to see it.
I started my comment with the lawyers are sharks, and this is that they brought us here. The lawyers brought us to this point. They're getting paid either way. I go, no problem.
107's lawyer brought us here.
He didn't sue. You weren't being sued by anybody.
He brought in the lawyer to start this whole mess.
He did
Then
not.
once he brought in the lawyer, we as a board could not talk to him. So we had to refer, now let me say my thing. We had to consult our attorneys. And that's where it started going back and forth, back and forth.
Could have ignored him.
Yeah, right.
You could have ignored him. Like you've ignored us all year.
okay,
You
so
ignored him.
our choices that we set to start the budget with was either pick a number like 6,000, pick a higher number, whatever. We have some money in the land sale, the savings, whatever you wish to call it, not the reserve. The reserve is absolutely not for this. The reserve is solely for the pool and or the bike path, if the bike path was added to the reserve. Correct, Bill? So,
For capital improvements.
Capital improvement.
so anything dealing with the pool, anything dealing with the pool has nothing to do with the conversation right now. All right? So our choices were take money out of the reserve. We had a hurricane come in on top of us while we were doing the budget. Right now it's $14,000, so that would be an increase of about $7 a person a month to cover the hurricane. We could either take the money out of reserve, pay for the hurricane, get past this next year, and then try to rebuild the reserve. So we're in between a rock and a hard place. Is we can look to these residents that are here plus all the ones that are not here, and we can say, look, $81 a month or $100, or pick a number anywhere in between.
Or we could give creative thought to how we're handling some of these legal things, or whether it's really worth it.
Like that's the point, and it's written down. Okay? And we're working, the reason I'm not talking about it is because I'm not going to talk in front of an attorney about any strategy. That's going to be discussed at a private meeting coming up in the next week or so. The meeting's already been arranged, it's already been set up. That may change the budget. The outcome of that meeting may change the budget.
When you meet with the attorneys, just hear me in the court sitting on your shoulder, and listen to the attorneys. And the attorney goes, yeah, we can get him. We got him on this. He's wrong about that. I can defend it. I can defend it. Bill, 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 Bill. And that's what they've been doing. So just when you're talking to them, think about that. You know, they don't have our best interest in heart. They have their best interest in heart. That company is, that one firm is notorious statewide for this company.
Excuse me, sir. This is my first time.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just wondering how long all this has been going on and what the chances are of resolving it.
Okay, 152 has been going on for 4 years. 107 started as a private matter with a non-board member, Joe Rashad, and a resident son. Again, without getting myself in trouble and before a judge, is 4 times the injunction against the private person was broken. 3 times the person went before Judge Fields. Each and every time the person went before Judge Fields, that attorney and that son wanted to make the board part of his injunction. It has nothing to do with the board. It's between him and 107.
So you have several different units that are in turmoil.
The
Yeah.
third one is 26 Summer Trees, which is a unusual, unique matter that most boards would never go through. Now, in all 3 cases, you can come up with all kind of ideas of how it should have been done, could have been done, and so forth. In that 4-year period, every year you had at least 3 new board members elected that are volunteers, that probably know nothing about legal, that are probably trying to catch up, which goes to the point, John, of why I've asked that we have a special committee. Kelly and I were working on this with others. Section 27 in the operation manual talks about having better guidelines, better policies. This man Terry over here wrote out a lien checklist, a foreclosure checklist. Had that checklist been followed in several cases, we would have saved money. Now, what I need to do as your corporate secretary is get all this stuff on the agenda, on the floor, get some people to help me build it, and get it in place. That's my spiel. Right now, we've got some other good committees started that will go a long ways to helping the business, but you're exactly right. When it comes to legal, the business has not been run as a business. Elbert?
107 goes back to this other social guard. He was removed, April Senior was removed from the board, I think it was in 06, 07, because when he was on the board, he felt like he had the right to sit back and call the attorney and chat, like he was a guy next door. And he ran up several $100 in attorney, and he removed him from the board.
He actually ran up $18,000 with C&M. He actually had a piece of property, a whole carport demolished and removed. There was backstories to all of that, so.
No, I know back in 607,